This is Jay Addison live from Las Vegas at Inside Bitcoin's convention. We're here with David Smith, a Bitcoin evangelist. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited to be here.
That's fantastic. So, David, tell us first of all about your two websites. And I know you've got one called So What's Bitcoin and another one called Bitcoin Bulls. Give us a bit of a description of what you do and what services you offer on those.
Great. So What's Bitcoin is for people who are brand new to Bitcoin. It explains Bitcoin in plain English so people can understand how Bitcoin can empower people.
That's fantastic.
And Bitcoin Bulls is for people who already are into Bitcoin. They believe in Bitcoin. They think Bitcoin's going to change the world, be the most empowering force since the internet. And like me, they're holding Bitcoins probably. And it's good to, when you're holding an asset, to get a return on that asset if you can.
Right.
And so in Bitcoin Bulls, I have articles where I talk about the various services where I'm trying to get a return on my Bitcoins.
Fantastic.
So I can not only be long Bitcoins and benefit from price appreciation that I expect to occur, but also benefit from loaning out those Bitcoins.
So when somebody comes to, let's say, the So What's Bitcoin, which is the educational site,
yes,
is there a cost or is that all free?
That's all free.
That's fantastic.
It's me giving back to the community.
That's beautiful.
I've been so happy to be part of this community, and it just helps to give back. And I believe that Bitcoin is the most empowering force since the internet. I think it's going to do so much to change the world, but it can't change anybody's life if they don't understand what it is.
Yeah, that's for sure. A lot of people feel they've missed the chance for the huge gains on Bitcoin. Do you think we'll ever see something like 2013 happen again?
I think we're going to, Bitcoin, I think, is in for some serious appreciation. I believe it's going to be the most empowering force since the internet. Today, Bitcoin's monetary base is around 5 billion. If it gets as big as the internet, we're talking trillions of dollars.
That's for sure.
So we're talking about thousands of times returns on people's money. And the thing about the internet, there were a lot of rich people that got rich, or entrepreneurs who got rich. But the thing about Bitcoin is anybody can make a lot of money on their Bitcoins. Anybody can participate.
You don't have to be an entrepreneur, in other words, or technical even.
Or a financier. You don't have to be a venture capitalist with
right.
millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody who's in high school or something like that can put some of their money towards Bitcoin, and they can invest in that. And if it goes up 1,000 times, they made 1,000 times in their money.
That's
but
for sure.
During the internet boom, if you were working, some job, an internship at a supermarket or something like that, you couldn't invest in Netscape, you couldn't invest in Microsoft, and you couldn't get those huge returns that were there for the rich people. And I think that shows the power of Bitcoin, how it is empowering. It takes the financial tools that are typically just for people that have lots of money, and it brings it to anybody that just has an internet connection.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's really a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plus the decentralization in the community. The community's huge. I mean, even for us up in Vancouver, everybody's really involved, and just like us and you promoting it and trying to educate people and bring in, the common person, right? So it's very exciting. Other than Bitcoin, what coins have you invested in?
I've invested some money in Ethereum. I invested some money in Aurora coin. I invested insubstantial amounts in maybe 5 or 10 other coins just to, I got them for free, or I just
for
put
fun,
like a buck or something. Yeah.
Or they look interesting. Some of these have got some pretty cool things behind the technology and that kind of stuff. So when we're looking at altcoins as well, to determine what might have value in the future, there's really some great things coming out. Yesterday we had some great interviews with some guys that had projects on the go that were really outstanding. So it's going to be very exciting. The next year even, because it's going pretty quick, is going to be really, really exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool with these altcoins. There's so much competition in the space, and that's why I'm really concerned about the regulations, because if we have these regulations, it's really going to slow things down. Like iOS 8 was just released, and there's already a Bitcoin wallet where you can use the iOS 8 Touch ID feature to secure your Bitcoins for your purchases.
Wow.
When's JP Morgan Chase going to have that feature? Probably not for 2 years, but Bitcoin had it, I don't know, was it 2 weeks after iOS launched, because there's so much competition.
Yeah.
And it just really raises the bar for the consumers. It really brings so much value to the ecosystem. And getting back to your point about the altcoins, that's so cool too, because there's all kinds of people trying out different forms of monetary policy, different features, and everybody is learning what everybody else is doing. Everybody's got to compete to have the best product, because it's all choice driven.
Yes.
So if you don't have the best product, people will just switch off of you and go to the next one. And so consumers are really getting a great value right now.
That's for sure. Now, the altcoin markets are even more volatile than Bitcoin, and people have seen huge capital returns. What's your approach to deciding what to invest in?
So I'm primarily a Bitcoin guy. I think the altcoins are interesting, but I think most of them will not survive. I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation that we're going to see. I know some people may have made a lot of money on altcoins. Some people lost a lot of money. But Bitcoin really has a huge ecosystem advantage.
It sure does, doesn't it?
And I think it's going to be really hard for those altcoins to overcome it. If anybody was to launch a product today, so one of the problems with Bitcoin is, there's only maybe a few million people in the world who use it, which is essentially 0% of the population. But that's still way more than any of these altcoins.
Yes.
And so somebody could, if a WhatsApp decided to use Litecoin or something like that, they could really Litecoin could get a lot of users really quickly. But if WhatsApp did that for their 500 million users, it would really be a disservice to those 500 million users, because now they can't do as much with their Litecoin. They can't use it at Coinbase. They can't use it at Circle. They can't use it at BitReserve. They can't use it at the thousands of other places that you can use Bitcoin.
Yes.
And so why would WhatsApp go with one of those altcoins? So I think it's going to be this reinforcing loop where it's just going to be more and more likely that Bitcoin is going to win.
Well, that sort of goes to my next question, and that is that because as we see the price going up and down in Bitcoin, what do you think is holding Bitcoin back in the Western world?
In the Western world, I think it's a couple things. I think one, people don't know about it, and then two, we have really great financial tools here, and so
it's not as sort of needed as it might be in some of the sort of third world countries.
Yeah. Today, I can't think of one reason why my dad would want to actually use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Why would he want to go log onto a website, buy Bitcoins from his bank to then go and spend it at Dell.com?
Yes, an extra transaction and an extra cost.
Yeah, it just takes more time and it's annoying. And so I think for the Western world today, the only reason I tell my dad to buy Bitcoin is as a speculating on that the future it's going to be worth a lot more.
Yes.
Now, if my dad was doing something internationally, then I think there is a real opportunity today for remittances or paying suppliers overseas or taking money overseas or opening up his wares to take money from anybody in the world.
Yeah, certainly more efficient, that's for sure.
Yeah, it gets rid of the fraud, it gets rid of chargebacks and things like that. But I think there will be killer apps in the U.S. I think any day it could happen next year, who knows? But sometime somebody's going to figure out a real killer app, and all of a sudden, everybody's going to want Bitcoin. They might not even know what it is, or they might not even know they're using it. But something like a WhatsApp or Snapchat or Pinterest, they're going to incorporate Bitcoin somehow, and then people are going to be like, oh wow, I need this, because it lets them do something that helps them engage or helps them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could probably see that coming.
Yeah, microtransactions is another really interesting one that might help the Western world. But the real, the real empowerment, and Bitcoin is the most empowering technology since the internet, is going to come in the other countries, in the developing worlds, in Africa or in South America. Places where they have horrible monetary systems, or they don't have banking systems that they can use, or that they're, governments mismanage their wealth and destroy their wealth all the time.
Yeah.
And so just like here in the U.S., Twitter's nice and it's fun or it's educational, it's useful, but it's not life-changing for everybody in America.
That's right.
Nobody's going to have their life changed by Twitter.
Yeah, if you turn your Twitter off, you're going to still keep going on your daily.
But that's different overseas. They're using it for political change and for political upheaval, in Arab Springs, things like that. And that's what Bitcoin, those are the people whose lives it can really change. If I was in Africa today, I could be delivering services to the people in the U.S. and charging U.S. prices and being all paid in Bitcoin. But without Bitcoin, how would I do that? Maybe through like a 99 Designs or something like that. But then there's fees and all that.
Yeah.
But it just opens up so much opportunity for people to do exactly what they want to do.
It sure does. And for people that haven't done a transaction, I bought a crypto card online the other day, and buying with Bitcoin is so fast, it's so easy, and it's so inexpensive. It's unbelievable. It was actually the most pleasant transaction that I've ever had. It was just instantaneous.
Yeah, actually, I have trouble with credit cards. When I booked my hotel room here, we're at the Flamingo in Las Vegas, and apparently somehow in the credit card process, I thought I paid, and I was on some confirmation page. I thought I was all done, but apparently I wasn't. So when I got here, I didn't have a room.
Oh no.
But if it would have been Bitcoin, I would have known right away.
Yes.
It's like, boom, I sent the money. I knew this happened. But with a credit card, I was like, oh, I thought it got charged, and of course I don't want to go and look at my bank statement or whatever.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, did it really get charged? But with Bitcoin, I would have known. And to your point about the ease of use, especially with Circle now, this morning I saw there was this big bear whale that people call him. He was trying to crash the price of Bitcoin the other day, but all the good Bitcoiners slayed this bear whale. And so there's a really cool poster that I saw this morning, and I wanted to buy it, and the guy's selling it in Bitcoin. And so what I did is I went to Circle.com, I bought $25 worth of Bitcoin, and I sent it over to pay this guy for his poster. the whole transaction probably took less than a minute.
For sure, it's amazing.
And that's just going to get better. I'm pretty sure that Circle pretty soon will have in a browser where, instead of me going to Circle and actually doing the buy, I would have just clicked buy, and it just would have done it all behind the scenes and paid that guy in Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's exciting technology, eh?
Very, very exciting.
In the past, you've said mining is one of the biggest problems with Bitcoin. What about it do you think needs to be changed?
So yeah, mining. So I've said Bitcoin is the most empowering force since the internet, and I think mining is the piece that could screw that up. Because Bitcoin's empowering, it's also empowering for the miners. They get to choose what they want to do. So if let's say I was the only miner and I was doing all the transactions. Well, for people who don't know, mining serves a purpose. It pays the person, and they get paid for processing all the transactions. So it'd be like every time you swipe a Visa card, Visa's processing that transaction. The miners perform that function.
Yes.
And when they perform that function, they're able to decide which transactions get processed and which don't. And I see that as a problem because, one of the problems Bitcoin was designed to solve was the fact that if I swipe my Visa card, I want that money to go there, and I don't want anybody to be able to stop that. And today, Visa can stop that if I do a Visa transaction. But today, if none of the miners wanted to process my transactions,
you're stuck.
I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be changed where the network just processes all the transactions, and miners don't have choices on which ones to include and which ones to exclude. And I think that would result in a better system.
Fantastic. Well, David, it's been fantastic talking to you today. We really appreciate your time. We got one more quick question. We ask everyone this question. It's kind of a crazy one. January 1st, 2015, what's the price of Bitcoin?
Wow.
I know.
That is the question. So, I'll give the long answer.
Okay.
Last year, at the end of 2013, people were talking about 10K per Bitcoin at the end of this year.
I remember that.
No, I don't hear anybody talking about that now. People are now talking about $1,000 Bitcoin at the end of 2016. But I think people are completely underselling it now.
I think so too,
people just don't want to be wrong. The price went from, just even in the past month has dropped 50% or something like that. I could see it at 50% tomorrow. There are so many exciting things that are in the works. Second Market's saying that they're going to have an exchange-traded fund available this year. I know lots of people who have lots of money, and they're talking a big game about putting hundreds of millions of dollars into this system. So I don't see it unreasonable still as hitting 10,000 at the end of this year. But I think it's all dependent on factors. I think it's going to be in a wide range. I could see it at the end of this year being at 300. I could see it at the end of this year being at 10,000. So I'll go out and I'll say $5,000 per Bitcoin, January 1st, 2015 is my guess.
David Smith, thank you very much. It's been fantastic talking to you today. Anybody wants to learn more from David, sowhatsbitcoin.com and bitcoinbulls.net.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks kindly.
Thank you.
This is Jay Addison from CryptoBiz Magazine, live from Meckler Media's Inside Bitcoins Conference in Las Vegas. Remember to subscribe to CryptoBiz Magazine at CryptoBizMag.com. Follow us on Twitter at CryptoBizMag. Thanks for joining us, and learn more at CryptoBizMagazine.com.